Good morning, and thank you for those that are going to watch this after the fact, or anybody that jumps on here. I have a very dear friend of mine on the line today, Dave Cummings from the New Hampshire Association of Realtors down in Concord. And Dave is the brother of Laura Lorio, who works here with Caldwell Banker Lifestyles. And Dave and I have known each other for a very long time. We probably competed against each other at one point in our lives in sports, and Dave and I played a lot of basketball together, and as we were a little older in our days. And Dave is the director of communications at the New Hampshire Association down in Concord, and is a very great resource for all of us in our business. You know, as you've heard me say before, right? We talk about where do our dues payments go when we pay those dues to the national, to the state, and to our local. Well, today you're going to get a small glimpse of what some of that dues money goes towards, and Dave is a big part of that, right? Dave works with our communications department. Our communications committee at the National Association that does things like our magazine, the website, all our communications that go out to all of us as members throughout the year. And so I really wanted Dave to come on today just to give a small snippet of who he is, what he does, and then talk about a couple of things that are on the New Hampshire Association of Realtors website called Fast Stats and InfoSparks. Whereas, you know, we as realtors need to continuously improve how we show our value to our members. And I think one of the things that we could really use is this Fast Stats and the InfoSparks that Dave and the Communications Committee has really worked hard on putting together onto our website, that we can have access to all this data that we can send out to our people really easily. So Dave, I'm going to turn it over to you. And I think if you want to share your screen, I think I gave you the ability to do that, I think. Okay, good. I didn't know if I screwed that up. That I just wanted you to tell us a little bit about you and what the Communications Committee does and what you do, and then try to take as quick a deep dive as we can into Fast Stats and InfoSparks, where they are on the website, what we can do with them, you know, in a less than 30-minute time that we have together. So take it away, my friend.
Sure. Thanks, Ben. Like Ben said, I'm Dave Cummings. I'm the communications director at NHAR. And if you don't remember anything from watching this today, remember my email address or my contact number. Otherwise, we definitely, as Ben said, we want to be a resource for you here at the State Association. Hi, Jim. Myself and Bob Quinn, the CEO, we have the simplest email addresses on the planet is dave@nhar.com, bob@nhar.com. So please feel free to be in touch about any of this stuff or anything else. We're going to go really quickly through, as Ben said, our data that we have, and we're pretty proud to say that we have as good as probably the best available market data in the country, of any state association in the country. We have one resource in particular that isn't offered anywhere else. So want to go through that, make sure that you're at least aware of it if you haven't used it already. Those are called Fast Stats and InfoSpark. So I am now going to share my screen to bring you to the homepage of our website. And I assume you can see that. Is that full screen, Ben?
Yeah.
Okay. So Fast Stats and InfoSpark. So as Ben said, I work with the communications committee here, and our job is basically twofold. It's to work with the membership to make sure you are as aware as possible of services that NHAR provides. And also I work with the media on what's going on in the real estate market. So that as the really 40,000-foot look, the question I get more than anything, whether it's from our members or whether it's from the public and certainly from the media, is, you know, what's going on in the market. I'm sure you can relate as well to, you know, that's what's happening out there in the housing market. So a few years ago, the communications committee decided we wanted our members to have the very best resources available. So we expanded on what we had already been providing. For more than a decade, we've been providing the 16-page report that I hope that you get on a monthly basis. Usually about the first week of each month, we will send out this 16-page report that shows it's a static report that shows the last month of data and also goes back 20 years in terms of what we provide. So that's the Fast Stats package of information, and that's what I'm going to go through first. Fast Stats, and you'll find that on the homepage. So NHAR.org. Just below this lovely picture of downtown Concord is Fast Stats and InfoSpark. So if we click on Fast Stats, and this Fast Stats is available to the public and to all of our members, it's open-ended. You'll see that the InfoSparks is not. InfoSparks is just for you all. So I'm going to really quickly go through this ladder of information over here on the left. And for anybody who's already seen this, I apologize, but we'll try to make this quick. So at the very bottom is the broadest look, the 40,000 foot look. It's the year over year data. And that's very simply a bunch of PDFs. So you can, if you click on that, you'll see this map of New Hampshire. You can click on any of the counties. So I'm going to click on Merrimack. And this PDF will come up, which goes back to 1998. So just about 25 years worth of data, units sold, median price, and days on the market, and then the percentage change from each going forward. So in 1998, as you can see, the median price statewide was $127,500, which is pretty remarkable to think of today, when we just crossed the 500,000 threshold for median price in the state. So, and then Merrimack County below that, and each of the counties is represented in the same way. So I will back out of that now. And also, if you have any questions as we go along, please just jump in. There's also the statewide only report, which is simply the same data you just saw, except just the state. So you can find that there. So again, just a broad way to look at all of the data in those three metrics that we have: unit sales, days on the market, and median price. So that's year over year data. That's the bottom rung of this ladder. Pretty simple. Quarterly data. I won't even show you that. That's simply it's 2 pages that each quarter it updates. So I guess I'll just jump in there real quick. So if we click on the most recent, so if you view report, you can also go down. It'll show you all these different quarters. But if we view the most recent, it will show you on the top the single family residential per county and the closed sales for the first quarter. And then same thing for condos. So pretty simple there. Let's see if I can get out of this. All right, I need to access. Is that still showing the same way? Okay, so that was quarterly. Monthly indicators is something that, again, we've been doing for quite a long time. If I click on that, you can look at the time period that you're interested in. Goes all the way back to June of 2013, every month since then. But if we click on most recent, you'll see the one that you should have received about a week ago. And that is the 16 pages. It goes from 40,000 feet down to the more dialed in. Starts with a couple paragraphs on the national and state outlook, and then the single family residential activity. And each of these metrics, closed sales, median sales price, days on the market, right down to the affordability index, and that ever alarming affordability index. And you can see here, again, very broadly, March of 2023 versus March of 2024. For closed sales, for example, it dropped 2.2%. And then year to date, which would be the first 3 months of the year, it has actually increased a tiny bit. So you can see each of those. Then as you go further down into the data, each of those metrics that we just showed is really zoomed in on. So closed sales, for example, you can see the graph at the bottom going all the way back to 2005. And then at the top, yellow representing single family residential and blue representing condo. The markers there for the last 3 years, March only, year to date over here, and then on the right side, it's done in a sort of a chart form. And we don't necessarily need to go through all these numbers, except that median sales price, of course, became big news this month when March jumped to 500,000. So it was the first time we've seen 500,000 in the state in any month. So pretty amazing to see how rapidly it has increased. And you can look at that down here and see where the bottom, of course, was in that 2010 through 2012 range, and then it's been climbing ever since. So that's median sales price all the way down to, and of course, we'll just look quickly at the affordability index, which is based on median household income compared to the median price home based on the today's interest rates. So you can see where that's gone, and most recently. So at this point, the median household income based on these numbers is 59% of what's necessary to qualify for the median price home with today's interest rates. That has been as high as 200%. So pretty remarkable to see how you guys are living this more than you know it better than I do, but pretty remarkable to see how that has dropped. So that's what we have here. At the very bottom, it goes into all properties. So this aggregates condos, mobile manufactured, and single family residential for these numbers. And then down below, it goes county by county, single family residential, and condo. So those are our monthly indicators. And again, we send out a little narrative on this, and it's also available. I'll just go back real quick to our homepage. It's also always going to be available down in these news boxes. Here you can see price hits 500,000, and that's what we're talking about here. If you clicked on that, it would also take you to these numbers. So finally, this is the newest addition to Fast Stats is our local market updates. So this was something that a couple of years ago the committee added, and here we go local updates. We'll just do most recent. You can select an area here, or you can dial in by county. So we'll go to Merrimack, and then up here in this corner, New London, my favorite place in the world. You can click on New London, and you'll get basically a one-page snapshot of what's happened most recently. And so this will show you March, it will show you year to date, and it will take you through essentially all of the numbers that we just saw. Median sales price in New London, this is why I can't move there. 857.5, up 29%, and then year to date, 625,000, so a 6% drop. And then down below, you can see condo versus or 2024 versus 2023.
Can I ask a question?
Blue versus yellow. Yeah, Jeff, how are you?
Good. When you were on that county map, why were some of the towns grayed out?
Yeah, it's a great question. So when we began this, what Showing Time does when they create these pages is it uses all of the what we call reportable towns. So for example, any of these towns in here, because we're now sort of really dialing in to a small market. Some of these towns don't have enough sales to really be representative of what's going on. So it is not worthwhile to include these. Now, that's not a great answer for anybody who's trying to find information for those towns, but that's why we're going to get to, when we get to InfoSparks, I'll be able to show you where you can solve that issue. But in Fast Stats, we only have what are the reportable towns. I think we have 127 towns that are reportable, and then the rest are not. So anything in here is not.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Yeah, Dave, real quickly, and that was a question that I had that Jeff just had, but over time we've actually been seeing more towns get added over time to this, right?
They can be added. I mean, if there are consistently enough sales in a given town. Yep.
Right. And then the other thing I just want to add real quickly is that all these reports that you're showing us, these can all be just saved as PDFs, and we can, as members, can email these to any one of our customers or clients at any time, right? It's just a click of a button and all this data is there for us.
Yep. Like anything else, any of these PDFs, you can certainly share. You can share the links to the 16-page report if you want. And that's what actually is. I'm glad you segued nicely into InfoSparks, because that is one of the really compelling features of InfoSparks. You can customize. All this isn't necessarily brandable. You can't, you would send these as generic PDFs, but we will get to the spot in InfoSparks where you are able to do that and really customize. So that's what we're going to do now. Any questions on fast stats? Again, that's something we've been providing for a while, other than the local markets. But I do think that for the markets that are reportable, which is more than half, those are nice little PDFs that you're able to share. And so that's all our static data, and that's all the data that is available to the public, as I said. So InfoSparks, when you go there, so just below the fast stats, you will need your username and password, and your password is your NERDS number, which is your member ID. So I am going to. It's always,
and they call that our M1 number now. Some of us that have been around for a couple of minutes remember it as our NERDS number, our NRDS number. That was the number you could find on the our Realtor magazine when our little address block was down in the lower left-hand corner of the magazine. It had that number there, but they now call it your M1 number, and that is a 9-digit number that you can get.
right. And anybody who doesn't have that, we have it at our fingertips. So, we can always find out. And if you have, occasionally somebody has changed an email address, so that might get a little wonky, but we have the updated information there too. So anybody who has questions about that can certainly get in touch with us. So when you open up InfoSparks, this is the page that you see. And so this defaults to the median sale price over the last 3 years. So we can look along this line and see, if you hover over any of these data points, you can see here, March, what we're looking at right now is that 500,000 number that we talked about. You can look back and see that we came really close to that. June of last year was 499. And then anywhere down this chart, you can just keep on looking and see where we were at any given point in time. And that's statewide. So that is your statewide number. If you go into this little box up above to the above right of the chart, you can see it's at 3 years. It defaults to 3 years. You can change that to 5 years, 10 years, or the max. And just for fun, we'll look at the max chart, and you can see this goes now back to 2005. So any point along this chart, you can see again where we were. In February of 2012, we were at 177.5. Imagine that for the entire MLS. So that is median sales price. Down below is where you can check on any of those. Oh, and also we default, and we always use median sales price, and that's simply because we don't like the idea of those really crazy those lakefront properties skewing the average price. So median price is one that makes more sense to us. That's the way we've been tracking it forever. But if you do like average, you can click over here to average, and it will show you a similar chart. But some of these lines might be a little more jagged because you're going to get some of the extreme properties actually factoring into some of the data. So anyway, we go with median price as a default, but you can also check on new listings, homes for sale, pending sales, all of these from these 10, the closed sales we can click on and see what that has done. And we'll get back out of that and go maybe back to 3 years and see what closed sales has done statewide. And you can see that all along this graph. So that's great statewide information. And then we start getting in, as Jeff asked about the more local markets. You can see we can add an area. We can add up to 4 areas. And the simplest way to do that is we'll click on that. The state number will stay. We can click out of that, or we can leave it up so you can get a comparison. But here we'll just start typing in New London. So, and you can do this again with any of those towns, any town in the state at this point. This is not based on only reportable towns. So we can see what New London has done, we'll look at sales price because, so median price for 3 years. And okay, so the chart is going to look a little funny just because it's compressed. But again, you can click along any point here and see what has happened over the last 3 years and see the comparison between New London and the entire MLS. So for example, in July of 2023, the New London median price was close to $4 million. So, and that again that speaks to how smaller markets impact what these look like. If there were only, you know, 3 or 4 sales perhaps, you know, in that month, then that trend line will be a little bit funky. And also that's why this is so compressed, is because this chart had to make room for a $4 million property. So it's measuring by the millions that you wouldn't normally see. So what we're going to do is, this is what I always share. Whenever you see one of these charts, it's like, this isn't a great trend line. It's so jagged. It doesn't really necessarily tell the story because so few properties have been weighed in. That's where this feature comes in handy, which is up in the above the chart again, where this is monthly. So what this is measuring right now is just the sales for any given month. But what you can do is do rolling median prices. So if I do rolling 3 months, what that means is it will take that month and it will go back 3 months. So it will show the data that happened or the sales that happened in those prior 3 months. So you're not just subject to that month's data, and it starts to kind of roll it in and just make it a little more like a better trend. You can start to see a better trend. So that was with three months rolled in. It still does represent a trend, by the way, because it's the most recent data. You are factoring a lot of a lot of previous data, but it is taking into account that year, that month that you're looking at currently. So if we go back 6 months, you're going to start to see that trend line get a little more smooth, probably. Yep. And then if we go back a full 12 months, you can see it get even more smooth. And it, you know, those $1 million, there's no longer a $1 million median sales price because there are now more data points represented. And again, you can still see the general trend that has gone on, but it just takes in more data. Now, this is particularly, like, New London is a decent example, but New London, as you remember, is a reportable town, so it has more data than some of the smaller towns. If you did go to a smaller town, this rolling data is very helpful because it starts to really track areas that otherwise would just be these really crazy jagged lines that don't necessarily give you a good sense of the trend. The cool thing here too is that it does, as you scroll along, it will show you both entire MLS and New London. We can do this up to 4 areas. So we'll also just go with, let's say, Warner. And now you can see what Warner did in that period of time as well. And again, I think you can do up to 4. You can start to break the property type down. If we wanted to include condominiums and or mobile homes, you can click on 1 to add. So this now will include, as you can see them both in blue, this includes all single family and condos. You can do just condos if you want to click out of single family. You can do all 3. You can also break it down by square footage. And based on the algorithms that this program uses, it gives you preset limits, or you can customize your limits as well for square footage, number of bedrooms, year built. You can also look at, and good for your area, waterfront and waterfront type and waterfront rights. So you can do lakefront down here, and whether that's owned or whether it's shared. So that's what that looks like. And again, we're going to stick with the sales price, but you can do this with any of these different metrics that we have down on the bottom. Now, the other feature that I want, oh, and also counties. So if you wanted to add, for example, Merrimack County, we'll just type that in Merrimack City versus Merrimack County. You can do the whole county, and then you get a trend line for that as well. So Ben was talking about sharing the information, and this what I really do love this feature of this. So right now we've got this chart that's comparing the whole state with your county, with the town, and a couple of different towns, and you want to share it with a customer or client. So you're going to click this button here, the share button, and we're going to go to live because that's more exciting than the static data. And then we'll leave it on social media and email. There are a bunch of different ways that you can send the raw data, which will be a spreadsheet of each of these data points. So that's pretty intensive and comprehensive. But for right now, we'll do it this way. You'll share, and now you'll get this URL, which I'm going to copy. We'll close this, and then we will add this. And this link you can send to any of your customers and clients. I am, my name and photo is up here. Any information that I want to include is up in this area, and then there is a downloadable PDF here that you can find up in the top right corner. My logo is up here. It happens, New Hampshire Realtors logo. And what's super cool about this is a couple things. One is they will be able to live track all of this data and look at it just as you could in InfoSparks. And also, if they keep this link, then in future months, when this updates, that link will update as well. So if they look at this in another month, this will add in the April data. So you can share that any number of ways that you want to share this. You can do that, and there's no limit on the number that you use. It's yours, and you can share it through any of your social media as well. So that we think is a really cool feature. Now, it's interesting. More often than not, I'll have this presentation or I'll have this conversation, or somebody will call about a member of ours will call about the data, and I'll take them through the same presentation, which I'm open to do. I'm very open to doing one-on-one meetings if anybody wants to learn more about this. But it's interesting to me how few people are aware of it, and shame on us for we do our best to try to get it out. But once they do, typically we've heard that they're using it all the time once they begin to use InfoSparks in particular. FastStats is really a great resource as well, but this one is so customizable and brandable. It's just a nice way for you all to share information with the people who you want to share it with. So any other questions about InfoSparks that I can go? It is the cool thing about it is it is very user friendly. So really, I've pretty much touched on everything that you can do with it and that you might need to do with it. But again, if there's any other questions, my mobile phone is listed in most of our media. So, and it's on our website. And again, it's dave@nhar.com, and happy to take you through any of this stuff. So any other questions about InfoSparks?
The one thing I'll say, and this is really why I wanted Dave to come on, not just because Dave's my friend, but I think this is very powerful in that it's just another tool that we as Realtor members here in New Hampshire have access to. This is part of what our dues goes towards, and it's all brandable to us to send out to our people. And then having that feature where someone can click on that link and still have it be live, and they can move things, and then it updates if they keep that link. That's a really cool tool that I don't think a lot of people are using in other states, as well as our members. Now this is New Hampshire specific, right? So it's not data in Vermont and or Maine where some of our agents do work. So it's New Hampshire specific only. But I think it's a really powerful thing. And obviously, you know, with my interaction with the state over the last few years, I've seen this in play, and I knew I needed to get Dave on just to show our members. And you know, we may have Dave go on a little bit of a roadshow for us at some point and come to some of our offices and kind of do this in our office and maybe take a little deeper dive into some of the stuff. But as Dave said, you know, his phone number is there, his email. Don't ever hesitate to reach out to Dave. That's what Dave is there for. And not because Dave is my friend again, but Dave is related to one of the agents that works for our company. So he is part of our Caldwell Banker lifestyle family, and he likes to eat at Pizza Chef here in New London too. So if
The
he ever
best.
comes up this way, take him to Pizza Chef and you'll get anything you need to know out of Fast Stats or Info Sparks. So we are right at that 9:30 time, and I don't like to keep people any longer, but does anybody have any questions for Dave before we end this out? This is recorded, so people can go back and watch this. I want to thank everybody for jumping on today. And if you have any questions, let Dave know. But Dave, I can't thank you enough, my friend, for coming on. You know what it means for me to have you on. And the one thing I will say also, gang, Dave is actually in the office today in Concord in our new what are we calling the room, Dave?
It's a recording studio. Yep, I'll take
Recording
a
studio.
spin
Thank you.
around here.
Yeah,
This is our new. It's not a great vantage point, but yeah, that's. We will be getting a podcast, an NHAR podcast, within the next few months, and we've been doing some recordings. And also, I would just direct you to, if you have general questions on the settlement right now on the homepage of our website, we've done a couple videos with President Joni McIntyre and legal counsel Matt Johnson that have been done in this studio that are really just, I think, informative on a general level, and they've answered some of the questions that we've been getting. You also, our CEO Bob Quinn is going to be on with Ben in, I think, a couple weeks when he gets back from DC. And so he'll be able to answer some more of those more specific questions about the settlement. But that resource is available on our website. I also want to say hi to Pam, who I
just
right around the
unmuted.
corner from Pam.
I just unmuted so I could say hi because everyone thought they had history, but I don't know if I can share ours. It's long.
Yeah, it goes back the furthest for sure. Grove Street, Cheney Street. Yeah, right around the corner.
Love it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, Davey, thank you very much, brother. I appreciate you coming on. And if anybody needs anything, you can either reach out to myself or call Dave. He is a big resource for us, so let's use him as best we can. All right. Thank you guys very much, Dave.
Thanks,
Thank
Ben.
you.
Thanks,
and
Ben.
we'll
Thanks,
talk
everybody.
soon.